Honestly, months after Terrifier 3's release, I did not expect Terrifier 4 to be immediately talked about and just this big, important, and famous news articles to follow, because there have been so many. This is my third video covering just Art the Clown news in general, because all the way back in October, I said, oh, maybe Terrifier 4 could be the end, and very recently I talked about, what the plot could be for Terrifier 4, but now I'm back with another article that is saying that Terrifier 4 could be split into two movies, which could lead to a Terrifier 5. The news just keeps getting crazier and crazier day by day, honestly. When you think this should be, dying down, especially months after Terrifier 3's release date, it's not dying down at all, and I'm kinda happy with that. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So with Terrifier 3 winding down a theatrical release, having grossed over 54 million domestically, and more than 85 million worldwide, beating Joker 2, which is very surprising, but Joker sucks. On the way to its VOD debut November 26th and multiple physical media releases December 17th. But now getting really to the point of this article. He has noted previously, Leone still isn't sure whether Art's saga will wrap up with Terrifier 4 or extend further into Terrifier 5. When I wrote Terrifier 2, he recalls, I knew where the story was going to end, but I didn't have a final number of movies in mind. I was just approaching it like a novel, and now it's a matter of breaking it up into chapters and seeing how long it's going to take me to get to the end zone. So right now, after Terrifier 3, I could say I'm officially going into the final chapter. But while I'm writing it, if it turns out to be a 3-hour movie or a 200-page script, I'll know it should be broken up into 2 films, or maybe I'll do a Kill Bill volume. And volume 2, like volume 1 and volume 2 kind of thing, and split the movies up into 2 parts, which leads to one question. Both the Terrifier sequels push past 2 hours. So what would Leone say to those who believe that that's too long for an explosion film? Stay off TikTok, he laughs. Don't really know what that means, but really all he's saying is if this is a long script, if it's a long story that really can't be have a middle, beginning, and end to it all in one film, then he's gonna extend it and give us a Terrifier 5. But this of course isn't really a grain of salt type of video, because take this with a grain of salt. It's not that type of video due to the fact that this is coming from Leone himself. In several interviews he's said stuff like this. So honestly, we'll just have to wait and see when we get closer. Of course, there have been some rumors of this movie possibly coming out in 2026 October, which does seem like a good time, because it definitely gives you some time to really perfect the story this time around, answer questions that were left in Terrifier 3, and definitely resolve some story arc that were also set up in Terrifier 3. And depending on, of course, if the story goes like we all think it's gonna go, then maybe this could be the end. But if it goes in maybe Leone said, a 300 page script, 3-hour movie, then we could be looking at a possible Terrifier 5. Now this is definitely major news, due to the fact that we all thought that Terrifier 4 is definitely gonna be the end no matter what happens, but clearly Leone keeps proving us wrong again and again and again, clearly, and it's just really awesome the fact that we keep getting these movies. And yeah, this is very exciting news for Terrifier fans, because we honestly don't want any horror franchise to ever end. And honestly, anytime a movie director or writer says this is gonna be the end, we already always know that this is not gonna be the end. For example, the Halloween franchise. That was supposed to be the end. Halloween Ends was supposed to be the ending, yet they're already in talks for a cinematic universe with that character. Scream is not staying dead. They're coming back for a 7th movie. Chucky is not done yet. He's coming back for another movie. Horror franchises really don't ever stay dead no matter what you do. There's always gonna be somebody out there who takes over the reins of the franchise, because this is honestly quoted by John Carpenter. If the money is there, then so are the movies. It doesn't really matter if you hate or love Terrifier. If the money's there, then it's just gonna continue no matter what, because money talks big in Hollywood. And the fact that these just went from crowd-funded movies to actual big budget horror movies is honestly something that Damien Leone should be very proud of, really, because that just shows the growth of his franchise and the popularity of his franchise. The fact that I could be talking about this franchise months after the 3rd movie's release and people still care. People are still interested in what comes next in the Terrifier saga. And to me, that's just an awesome, beautiful experience, really. It's honestly a very good time to be a horror fan, because we're always getting news of reboots, remakes, sequels, and in this case, a Terrifier 4, and possibly, if the story calls for it and the script calls for it, a Terrifier 5. But honestly, if there was to be a Terrifier 5, what would the story be? Because obviously Damien Leone has said and shown in his movies and in his interviews that he keeps going above and beyond with each and every movie. And we could see that quality-wise, we could see that story-wise. He keeps going above and beyond with not only the story, but also the kills. Now, with Terrifier 3 setting up a potential location for the movie in hell, how much bigger can you get from that? Like, if anything, Terrifier 4 should have been maybe like a space theme, like they should have went to space, because that's not really too big. That's big, but not really too big of a story. It's still toppable. But if Terrifier 4 is in hell, then nothing could top that. Nothing could top having a movie in hell, seeing these characters in hell, seeing Art the Clown at his full potential and full power in hell, because he's a demon. So honestly, I really don't know what any of this means for the future, if there's gonna be a Terrifier 5, or if they're just gonna end it with Terrifier 4. Personally, of course, I never want to see a horror franchise end, ever. I love horror movies, and I never want to see the end of any horror franchise. So of course, I'll be open to a Terrifier 5. But some people do want to end this franchise at the 4th movie, and I get why, you know? Because with each and every movie upping the previous one, you can't up the setting of hell. You can't do better than that. There is nothing above hell. So honestly, that leaves zero story to be told, you know, unless they're going back to the roots of Terrifier, just like him going into Miles County and killing a bunch of people, really. But yeah, this definitely could be a 2-part like finale, Terrifier 4 and Terrifier 5. So I throw it off to you guys. What do you think of there possibly being not only a Terrifier 4, but a Terrifier 5 to follow that up? But that is where I'm gonna end the video. I'm Mr. Movie, and take care.